If mainstream media is trying to make it goody-goody with Netanyahu picture of Gaza and Palestine.
The counter argument is somewhere else.
Exactly.
This had an impact or a shift on the public sentiment in Pakistan.
This is our state policy since 1947. There is no deviation of an inch, or no government or no politician can dare to think of it that we have to compromise on policy of Palestine.
And there has been a cost, and this cost has to be paid.
Not only because of that, terrorism inflicted by the
due to
Israel
the aftermath of,
that was not
7th of October, and
Exactly.
the public opinion of 7th
Exactly.
of October had an impact on the political regime. حلقة جديدة من سردية عز في موسمه الثاني. أسعدتم أوقاتا. ضيفي لليوم هو أمير عباس من باكستان. Mr. Amir Abbas, I'm glad to have you in this episode of Sardiyat Az. You are from Pakistan and you are a TV journalist. You host a TV show on political and current affairs. And you're very active on both digital media and mainstream media. And here we can talk about the struggle between mainstream media and digital media. Maybe in the past wars with Israel and the West used to have the upper hand in the war of narratives because the mainstream media was prevailing. Mm-hmm. In the aftermath of the 7th of October, there was a new narrative, a new argument. Mm-hmm. What contributed to this new narrative and new argument to reach and change the public opinion?
First of all, thank you so much, Hassan.
You're most welcome.
It's my honor to be in your studio. And it's my honor to be in Lebanon for the very first time. Although I have been trying to come here for last 2 or 3 years, but somehow things were not manageable and the situation was like a war-like situation.
Yeah, indeed. So the first time is difficult, but it should be one of many from now on, yeah?
Yeah. Inshallah, this is first but not last.
Inshallah.
As far as the narrative about Israel-Palestine conflict or post-7th October scenario is concerned on mainstream and alternate media or the digital media, I must say that the Western societies, the Western, actually the governments of European countries and the America especially, they have been throughout supporting Israel and Netanyahu, whatever atrocities he has been inflicting to the people of Gaza and Palestine, and later on the airstrikes on Lebanon as well. Whereas the people of European nations, the people of America, they somehow stood up against their own governments. I myself had an opportunity to cover a protest in Norway, mm-hmm. the capital of Norway, Oslo. Yep. And it was last year in winter. The temperature was -15. Wow. There was snow. It was covered with snow everywhere. And the Norwegian people, they do not share their border with the Palestine. They do not share their culture or language with the Palestine. But despite of that, thousands and thousands of people of every age, they came out to participate in that protest. And the protest was just in front of the Norwegian parliament.
Wow. And this happened in many European countries.
Exactly.
And happened in many states in the US, and millions of protesters used to be there frequently every week and sometimes. What was the major contributor to this? We didn't used to witness such a change in public opinion in the previous wars. Is it the power of influencers, the power of digital media? What was different in the aftermath of the 7th of October?
Exactly. Actually, the answer is in your question as well, that I think 10 or 12 years ago, when there was no social media or the effective use of social media like the Facebook, YouTube, X, previously known as Twitter, Instagram, and other platforms. So the narrative was actually driven by the Western and American satellite mainstream media, the BBC, the CNN,
exactly.
the Fox News,
Because they used to have the funding, the big
Exactly.
funding, they have their agendas,
The
their
deep pockets.
propaganda. Yeah, okay.
the deep pockets, we call.
Yeah, yeah.
So these Zionist lobbies, they have been playing very significant role in managing the media. So somehow, in last almost 10 years, we can observe that the emergence of alternate media or the social media. Now the narrative is not that much in control of mainstream media. If mainstream media is trying to make it goody-goody with Netanyahu, and if it is trying to show a very pleasant and very admirable and very inspiring picture of Gaza and Palestine and what has been happening throughout since 7th October 2023.
The counter argument is somewhere else.
Exactly. The counter argument was given by the alternate media. And there was also a challenge for the social media as well. And the challenge was that all those accounts on these platforms which become very significant and prominent talking about Palestine, those accounts are given strikes.
Exactly.
They are
shadow bans.
Yeah, they are
Backlash.
they are banned, and but despite of that, whatever we see today, the awakening of people all over the world.
That's
That
the right
is
word.
because
It's
of
awakening
things.
of the people.
Exactly.
That's and there has been a cost, and this cost has to be paid. The cost that influencers, as you might have paid, is the shadow ban, is the strikes on your YouTube channel. But you were willing, Amir, to pay this cost. Why were you willing to pay this cost?
It's a very interesting question. When I came here for the very first time, and this is my first visit, and I joined the international media delegation for the reporting of funeral of
Of
Sayyid
the
Hassan
funeral of
Nasrallah.
Sayyid Hassan Nasrallah, yeah.
I was surprised to see the tears in the eyes of the people, the emotions and feelings they were carrying with, and people started gathering outside the stadium and in the stadium quite early in the morning,
Even from the night before.
night before exactly.
Despite the very low temperature, despite people from coming from
It was
southern
a
Lebanon.
bone
which-
chilling,
yeah,
bone
yeah,
chilling.
it was. Yeah,
Wind
yeah,
was
it
blowing,
was. It was.
and people from every age, babies in the cradles, and people in the age of late 80s or early 90s. Even I saw them, women, and they were standing. Because the ceremony was quite long, and
Yeah.
they kept on standing for hours and hours, quietly, silently, and they were like an embodiment of respect towards the two dignified individuals who sacrificed their lives for a noble
this
cause,
cause.
for a noble cause. And the stadium was jam packed. The doors has to be closed, and every road coming towards the stadium was also jam packed almost. So I had no idea that people willingly love Hassan Nasrallah and his organization and his cause and his resistance. Actually, I must say that. Incredibly, Hassan Nasrallah has been a symbol of resistance for 30 years, or perhaps for more than 30 years. He was a sting. He was a sting for America, for Israel, and for their allies. And a one man sitting in a small country, your country.
Yeah.
Your country
10,452 kilometers, yeah.
Your country in
Square kilometers.
size is 90 times smaller than my country.
Yeah.
90 times smaller than my
Exactly.
country. Your population is 1/5 population of one of my largest cities.
Wow.
So a small country with so many, problems and sanctions and restrictions, a person sitting here and he was looking head on head to all almighty powers. So
To this imperial world.
exactly. So I had no idea that, I mean, how can people love someone who is, I mean, fighting a war of others, not directly for the people of Lebanon.
Exactly.
It is not directly your issue or my issue. We relate ourselves with this issue because of humanitarian cause.
Exactly.
Because of a just
Because
cause.
of the symbolism of this
Exactly,
issue.
symbolism. Because of the just cause. And he was an embodiment or symbol of resistance. So the way people of Lebanon, I mean, they paid him tribute, and his successor, Hashim Safiuddin, that was incredible. So I think that is the reason. Your question was that am I or other influencers are ready to pay the cost for that? So I think
So you want to say that the cost that we as influencers might pay might be negligible
Exactly.
in front of the sacrifices that are
Sacrifices.
made with such top leaders.
True.
You have a 17 years career in TV journalism and in mainstream media as well. Have you witnessed such moments in your career in some other funerals in other countries in the world? How do you compare this funeral, these moments, to other moments that you've lived?
I think the funeral of President Raisi in Iran
Yeah.
last year, when he
You
died
were
in
there
the
and you
crash.
covered it.
No, I was not there, but,
But
we
you've
were
witnessed it.
covering that.
Okay.
Yeah, we were covering that. That funeral was, I must say, that one of the biggest. And the funeral of Sayyid Hassan Rasulullah, I was part of that. I must say that it must be included in among one of the biggest gatherings for a funeral ceremony ever happened in contemporary world.
Wow. So you're carrying some emotions from this funeral for a lifetime, I guess. Yeah?
Yes, definitely. And for a reporter or for a journalist, you're not supposed to be carry emotions. and
Exactly. You
feelings.
have to be objective. You have
Objective.
to put a wall.
Exactly,
But
exactly.
but
But it was very difficult
you
for
couldn't
me.
hide
Yes.
your
Yes.
emotions. It appears through your eyes, actually.
It was very difficult for me and for all of us who were there for reporting to, I mean, not to be, I mean, not to feel those feelings and passion, and especially when Israeli jets, they flew over the stadium, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if there would be any other nation, there would be a chaos.
Exactly.
People would be running away from the venue. There would be a mess. And twice they
Twice, yeah.
flew over the stadium. And look, what sort of,
Response.
response and the slogans people were chanting.
Exactly.
And those slogans were cracking the sky.
Exactly.
So, I must give credit to your people as well. You're a wonderful nation. You are a wonderful nation, and people from all over the world get inspiration from you. I must say that.
Thanks a lot for these very sincere feelings, actually. It gives us pride and it gives us more incentives to continue this role, actually. Amir, going back to your contribution on your digital media platforms, have you yourself faced challenges, censorship, or backlash due to your stance on the Palestinian cause?
Yes. Last year, in December perhaps, or end of November, we started a dedicated platform on all social media, like Facebook, Twitter,
sure.
and YouTube and Insta. We started a dedicated, a project to talk about Palestine, Gaza, and at that time it was not clear what is going to happen in the next few months. Now it's almost ceasefire and things are going to be normal, but at that time it wasn't clear that when it is going to be normal, and we could not, maintain those platforms because there were strikes after strikes and strikes after strikes. We kept on changing the names, we kept on changing the banners, we kept on changing the content,
And it didn't work.
and it didn't work. Maybe somehow people get, manage it somehow, but we could not. So that is a persistent issue. If you talk about, if you talk about on Kashmir, which is a dispute between India and
Exactly.
Pakistan, because there is a grave human rights violations over there. Grave.
Yeah.
Almost 700,000 Indian troops are deployed in that
In
controlled region.
yeah.
Same is the case with, Gaza and Palestine. You cannot talk in favor of Palestine. You cannot talk against Israel. If you do so, you will obviously have to face the consequences on social media. But I am not.
How did you manipulate the algorithms so that your content would have the desirable outreach which you aim?
I think what we do or we have been doing is that we change the names of the
Yeah.
of the platforms,
Yeah.
accounts, and we try to make it in such a the content I'm talking about. We try to make the content in such a way that it should not be
Very direct.
very direct, and the footages,
Yeah.
the footages of bombardments, the footage of destruction, those footages are to be avoided. And we try to make it in a way that we discuss international relations, and under the
Exactly.
banner of those
You,
international relations,
okay. Sure,
we
sure,
somehow
sure. That was
try-
very smart.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you try to strike a balance between your presence on mainstream media and on digital platforms. Where do you see yourself more impactful?
I think I must give credit to Pakistani media here, the mainstream media I'm talking about, that since 7th October 2023, we have been covering the whole conflict throughout these 13 or 14 months on regular basis. Our every news channel, in almost its every headline, which is an hourly headline,
Yeah. Huh?
there used to be at least one headline about Gaza.
Wow.
And if I talk about myself, for almost first 6 months, I mean from 7th October 2023 till April 2024, for first 6 months, I dedicated 5 minutes in my every program. I do a program 4 days a week, and I dedicated 5 minutes in my every show. At the end of the show, I used to do a 5-minute segment on on daily developments.
Yeah. And the
which were
current
taking
affairs
place,
which used to happen
which were
there.
taking place in Gaza here. So, and same is the case with other Pakistani journalists and media. They have been talking about
This had an impact or a shift on the public sentiment in Pakistan regarding the issue of Palestine. How did you witness a shift in their sentiment?
Palestine are the founder of Pakistan, our founding father, Qaid Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah. He was the first man. He wrote a letter to American President Harry S. Truman in 1947.
Wow.
He wrote a letter
1947.
in 1947. He wrote a letter to him, President Harry S.
1947 has a significance, so it's 1 year before the 48.
Exactly. He wrote a letter, our founding father,
Yeah? Wow.
he wrote a letter to American President,
True.
and he said that Israel is the illegitimate state, like an illegitimate child.
Wow.
So this is our state policy since 1947, and there is no deviation of an inch. Or no government or no politician can dare to think of it.
Wow.
That we have to compromise on the policy of
And
Palestine.
this goes in parallel with the public sentiment.
Exactly.
Because sometimes we see a bit of a gap or discrepancy between the state's policy and the people's policy, as in the Arab world. So some governments have some proper relationships with the Israeli entity, yet the people's opinion is somewhere else. So there is a bit of parallelism between both the opinions of the state and the people in your country. Yeah.
Because in Pakistan there is a democracy to some extent, although we have few issues.
We always have to some extent
In
phrase,
third world countries and in fragile
in
democracies,
developing countries,
there are some issues. We have a parliament, but in Middle Eastern countries you're talking about, there are kingdoms.
Exactly.
There are sheikdoms. So when you are living in a sheikdom or fiefdom or kingdom, there may be a difference, either smaller or huge difference between the policy of the state and policy of or thinking of the people. Like there used to be a term of 3 bins. Before, I'm talking about before 7th October 2023. There used to be a term of 3 bins. 3 bins mean bin Salman, bin Zayed, and bin Yamin. Mohammed bin Salman, Mohammed bin Zayed from UAE, and Benjamin Netanyahu. So it was, their chemistry was very,
But Saudi Arabia's public opinion and public stance is a bit different than the other Arab countries. They're insisting on the 2-land solution before engaging in any talk. So maybe there is a bit of particularity, or you don't see this particularity of Mohammed bin Salman?
I think even Mohammed bin Salman had to change his opinion to some extent.
Because to keep the legitimacy from the people.
Not only because of that, because of the violence and the terrorism inflicted by the
due to
Israel
the aftermath of,
that was not
7th of October, and
Exactly.
the public opinion of 7th of October had an impact on the political regimes.
60,000, Hassan, 60,000 people have been crushed.
Exactly.
The infrastructure have been bulldozed, dashed to the ground. More than 100,000 people were injured. Few have lost their legs, few have lost their arms, few have lost their eyes. Hospitals were bombarded.
Exactly.
Ambulances were bombarded. Schools were bombarded.
UN organizations were bombarded.
Exactly. Journalists were
So it was very harsh.
Very
so
harsh. It was not, nobody could ever dare to defend it.
Exactly.
Either it's Mohammed bin Salman or somebody
So
else.
this was one of the wins of the 7th of October, because definitely we're living in the dilemma: loss or gain, victory or what. So this was one of the major contributors of the contributions of the 7th of October. The Israeli recent aggression on Lebanon has drawn renewed attention to the interconnected struggles of the Lebanese and not only the Palestinian people, but the oppressed people wherever they are in the world. How did you address this link in your content, whether mainstream or digital? Lebanon, starting September 2024 till the 27th of November.
I think things started getting terrible for Lebanon from June or July 2024.
Yeah, it was escalating actually. But the war itself, the pagers strike was on the 17th of September.
Yeah. And then 27th September was the martyrdom of Sayyid Hassan Nasrullah.
Yeah.
And as I was telling you before, that when I came here, I thought that your people would be scared. They would be afraid of all of this.
Of what's happening.
Okay. And might be the majority would be having an opinion that now enough is enough. We are not going to stand beside Hezbollah and their cause. But things were quite different for me. Quite different for me.
Yeah.
And I have been asking this question to so many people
but now you're asking this question as an insider, because you're here, you have witnessed this, you have touched it. When you were in Pakistan doing your show in that period between September and November, how was this integrated into your content?
Actually, I came here with a question having two opinions. The people of Lebanon must be divided into two thoughts.
Yeah.
One thought might be about that, okay, enough is enough.
We're fed up.
We are fed up.
We've
We
done our
need-
homework.
Yeah, we need progress. We need development. We are not going to stand beside the Hezbollah and their resistance. It's a matter of Palestinians. Let them deal with it. They fail or succeed, it's not our job. And the other opinion, or a group of people, this, they may carry the opinion uh, like that no, whatever happens, we are not scared, we are not afraid of. And we still stand beside Hezbollah and their resistance. So when I came here, I wanted to know that where does majority stand, with this opinion or this opinion? And I'm surprised to know that the vast majority still believes that whatever has happened, the economic loss, the human loss, the loss of infrastructure, the bombardment, the psychological stress,
it was
the mental
unprecedented.
stress,
Unprecedented. Yeah.
But despite of that, the majority is having an opinion which is not changed since 27th of September or starting from September 2024. The opinion is the same which was before September 24 and which is now. It is almost the same opinion. And obviously, I'm getting this first-hand information here. And when I'll be back, inshallah, so we will
carry this
incorporate this
to your
public opinion.
content and to your shows.
Yeah.
Mr. Amir Abbas from Pakistan, your 17 years of this career in TV journalism, whether on mainstream media or on your digital platforms, maybe have been crowned with your coverage for the 7th of October, especially that you used to wisely shed light on the struggles of the people, of the oppressed. And this was very apparent in your shows and your content on different social media platforms, and you were the major contributor to this narrative. I highly thank you for appearing a guest in Sardiyat.
My pleasure. And lastly, I would like to say that a journalist has to be pro-people. A journalist has to be, pro-human rights. A journalist has to be pro-democracy. A journalist has to be pro-constitutionalism.
Mm-hmm.
If a journalist is not, supporting all these universal values.
Exactly.
These are universal values.
Yeah.
I do not have patent right on human rights. You do not have patent right on democracy. America has no patent right.
They are universal rights.
Exactly.
Universal rights.
So it's a humanitarian cause, and every journalist across the world should, pursue it vociferously and unflinchingly.
Exactly. So
without ifs and buts.
So the only bias that you might have is towards these universal rights which you've just listed, yeah?
Yeah.
Because you were trying to emphasize that the journalist has to be objective, has to be scientific maybe, but you can be biased in these instances.
Exactly.
And every journalist has to be. So thanks a lot again, Amir Abbas.
Thank you.